Men have been competing on the wrong currency for centuries. You built the career, got the apartment, bought the watch. You made the sacrifices, absorbed the stress, told yourself, this is what she needs, this is what she wants. This is the language of love that men speak. And still, you watched her pull away, not toward a richer man, toward a man with nothing in his bank account and everything in his presence. Society sells you a clean lie that financial security is the foundation of attraction, that women are essentially choosing between portfolios when they choose between men. You've heard it your entire life, dressed in different words, but always the same message. Provide enough and she stays. Watch what she responds to, not what she says at a dinner party, not what she tells her mother she wants in a partner. Watch her pupils when that man walks into the room, the one who isn't the wealthiest person there, the one who doesn't have the cleanest resume, but something in the air shifts when he arrives and she feels it before she understands it. There are 3 things wired so deeply into female psychology that money cannot reach them. 3 things most men spend their entire lives unknowingly starving her of, while spending everything they have on the one thing she already stopped responding to. And one of these 3, the most powerful one, has nothing to do with how you treat her. It has everything to do with how you've built yourself when she isn't watching. Directional certainty. There is a man you've seen. Maybe you've watched him from across the room without fully understanding what you were witnessing. He's not the tallest. He's not driving the newest car. He doesn't have the most impressive title, but he walks like he's moving towards something. There's a directionality to him, an internal precision. His energy is aimed at a specific point on the horizon, and nothing in the room, not the noise, not the approval, not even her, is going to deflect it, and she cannot stop looking at him. This is what you've been missing, and it's older than money. A man with money sends one message to her nervous system: I have already arrived. A man with direction sends a completely different one: I am in the middle of becoming something that has never existed before. The first is a closing statement. The second is an open book she cannot put down. David Buss documented this across 37 different cultures in his evolutionary research. Women consistently ranked ambition and industriousness above accumulated wealth as long-term attraction signals. Not wealth, not what you already have. The active drive towards something, the forward motion, that's the signal that matters. Jordan Peterson phrases it differently. Women are not attracted to men who have won. They are attracted to men navigating difficulty with competence. They are attracted to men navigating difficulty with competence. The performance under pressure, not the trophy. The competence in real time. A rich man who has stopped fighting is already dying. She can feel the absence of fire before she can name it. Consider this. 1861. Richard Francis Burton was one of the most accomplished men of the Victorian era. He had infiltrated the holy city of Mecca in disguise, a crime punishable by death if discovered. He had led expeditions deep into unmapped East Africa, survived ambushes, nearly died 3 times searching for the source of the Nile. He spoke 29 languages. He was perpetually broke, perpetually mid-mission, perpetually living at the edge of his own story. He had almost nothing by conventional standards. No estate, no inheritance, no stable income. Isabel Arundella came from a prominent Catholic family. She had suitors with titles and land, security, respectability, a quiet life of guaranteed comfort. She chose Burton. Men who could offer her everything Victorian society said a woman should want: security, respectability, a quiet life of guaranteed comfort. She chose Burton. She waited years for him. She defied her family. She restructured her entire existence around a man who couldn't guarantee her a single stable month. She wrote in her diary, "I do not follow him because he protects me. I follow him because being near him is the only time I feel fully awake. Fully awake, not secure, not provided for. Awake." This is the sensation money cannot manufacture. The electric feeling of being in the orbit of a man who is actively building something that matters to him. His purpose becomes her aliveness. His direction becomes her North Star. She is not following the destination. She is following the motion, the urgency, the fact that this man is in the middle of something that will not wait for her or anyone else. They have stopped moving. And here is the part most men resist hearing. The man with a mission cannot be competed against because the men around him, the successful, the wealthy, the established, all share one invisible quality that makes them interchangeable to her. They have stopped moving, and here is the part most men resist hearing. A man with money but no direction is not secure to her. He is stagnant. She will take his resources and feel nothing. She will marry him and begin a slow internal death. Neither of them can explain. This is why women from wealthy marriages sit in therapy offices every year completely unable to articulate the emptiness they feel. Everything she was told she needed is present. The house, the accounts, the car in the driveway, the absence of financial worry, and no one going anywhere. The female brain does not respond to accumulation. It responds to trajectory, not where you are, where you're pointed. So the first question worth asking yourself isn't, what do I have to offer? It's sharper than that. Where are you going? Not vaguely specifically. What is the work you would do even if no one gave you credit for it? What is the thing you are willing to be uncomfortable, misunderstood, and underpaid for because it is yours? That specific burning direction that is more attractive than any number you could put in a bank account. But here's where men make a second, more invisible mistake. They understand direction, they build the mission, they develop the drive, and then the moment she finally cracks open for them, the moment she brings her full emotional weight into the room, they completely fall apart. The ability to hold her storm, there is a specific moment every real relationship eventually has. It's not the first fight. It's not the first time she cries. It's a quieter, more consequential moment than either of those. It's the moment she tests whether you will collapse. She doesn't plan the test. They try to fix what isn't broken. She doesn't know she's administering it, but somewhere beneath her conscious awareness, she is watching for one specific thing. When I bring the full weight of my emotional world into this room, will he add to it or hold it? Most men fail this test not through cruelty, but through confusion. They try to fix what isn't broken. They offer logic to something that is asking for gravity. They suggest solutions to what is at its core a request to be received. And she walks away not feeling fixed, feeling alone. This is not about emotional availability in the self-help sense. The internet has spent a decade telling men to open up, be vulnerable, share their feelings, and created a generation of men who are emotionally porous in a way that is exhausting instead of comforting. A porous container isn't safer than no container. It's worse. Everything leaks. When she breaks down and he breaks down with her, she now has two emergencies and no one holding the structure. What she needs is not a man who cries with her. What she needs is a man who can receive her chaos without creating more chaos. Dr. Sue Johnson's foundational research on emotional bonding identifies one consistent thread in secure attachment. Not warmth alone, not communication frequency, not shared interests. It is felt security, the internal experience of if I fall apart right now, he will not fall apart with me. He might reach toward me, but the architecture will hold it emotional, tensile strength. The ability to receive force without deformation, to be genuinely moved by what she feels, not performing detachment, not hiding behind stoic silence, but structurally capable of bearing her weight without buckling under it. Think about what this actually feels like to her. She has had a day that feels like it happened to a stranger, the kind where everything feels disproportionately heavy and she cannot organize it into a reason. She comes home, she talks, she becomes the container for both of you, and she will do it. She doesn't want solutions. She doesn't want advice. She wants to feel the weight of what she's carrying land somewhere that doesn't break. If you fix, she feels dismissed, managed, reduced to a problem. If you collapse with her, she now has your pain to manage on top of her own. She becomes the container for both of you, and she will do it. Women do this constantly, but every time it happens, something calcifies, a tiny hardening, a slow withdrawal of her emotional openness. If you hold, she feels something no amount of money, grand gestures, or romantic declarations can manufacture. She feels held, received, structurally safe in a way that has nothing to do with bank accounts. And being held, genuinely held, by someone with the structural capacity to receive her darkness without dissolving is one of the most addictive feelings a woman can experience because she's almost never felt it. Most men either flee or drown. June 1819, Simon Bolivar was mid-revolution. He was executing one of history's most audacious military campaigns, marching a half-saint-starved army across the Andes through freezing altitudes, fighting a war on multiple fronts, one execution order away from ending everything. He was exhausted, sick, operating at the absolute threshold of human capacity. Manual science had left a wealthy husband to follow him, an English merchant who offered her every material comfort available in Lemur, a respectable life, guaranteed safety, everything a woman of her era was supposed to want. She left it for a man perpetually one battle from death. She wrote, "He does not solve my storms. He stands in them with me without becoming one, without becoming one." She did not need a man without storms of his own. She needed a man who, even inside his own battles, could hold the shape of her chaos without adding to it, who could receive the full weight of her emotional world without requiring her to manage his reaction to it. Manuela Sáenz died in poverty decades after Bolivar's death. She never returned to the wealthy life she had abandoned. This is what containment does to a woman. It doesn't just attract, it anchors. The man who can hold her emotional weight becomes structurally irreplaceable. She can find a man with more money. She can find a man with more status. She will search the rest of her life for another man who makes her feel that she does not have to manage her own intensity in his presence. She does not have to shrink, organize, or apologize for the full weight of being herself. Most of the time, she won't find him because most men don't understand that emotional strength isn't the absence of feeling. It's the presence of structure, not walls. Load-bearing walls. She never remarried, never looked back at what she left. He becomes the standard she measures everyone else against forever. But what keeps her wanting more of you? What prevents even this from fading over time requires the third thing. The one hinted at in the beginning, the one most men destroy, not from weakness, but from what they mistake for intimacy, retained unknowability. Here's the mechanism no one names correctly. Men think they lose women by becoming boring. That's not exactly wrong, but it's not precise enough to be useful. Boring is the symptom. The disease runs deeper. They lose women by becoming fully readable. Think about a book. You can read it every night for months if the chapters keep opening new rooms. A book can be brilliant, beautifully written, deeply satisfying, and you will abandon it the moment you feel you've reached the final page. Not because the quality dropped, because the mystery closed. There is nothing left to discover. The map is complete. This is what happens in relationships. Not that men stop being interesting, it's that women feel they have mapped the territory. They know every reaction before it arrives. They can predict every response in every situation. They've seen every room in the building, and no one rereads a finished book. Not the same way. Essel has spent decades studying erotic desire inside long-term relationships. And her most consistent finding is that desire requires mystery, not absence, not gameplay. The specific sensation that another person contains rooms you have not yet entered, that there is interior territory you cannot access on demand, that you are always at some level still in the process of discovering who he is. The mistake men make is this. They interpret closeness as full disclosure. They believe that loving her means giving her complete access to every thought, every insecurity, every process, every anxiety, every room in the building. They equate transparency with intimacy. And slowly, without cruelty, without drama, without a single bad day, she loses the thing that made her desperate for access in the first place. The hunger doesn't die because the food got worse. It dies because she's no longer uncertain about whether there's more. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of Rome for 19 years. He was also in private one of the most rigorous philosophical minds of the ancient world. He kept personal meditations, thoughts he wrote for no one, never intended to be read, never performed for any audience. The interior of an interior, a private philosophical practice so deep that historians who discovered it centuries later described it as unlike anything else that survived from antiquity. He and his wife Faustina were together for 30 years, 13 children. By all historical accounts, she never stopped being drawn to him. The most striking observation across accounts of their dynamic is this. Despite 30 years of proximity, despite raising children together, despite sharing every public and private ritual of Roman imperial life, Fina consistently described Marcus as still approaching. She never felt she had reached him. Not because he was cold, not because he was absent, because he had cultivated an interior life so layered, so genuinely private that even someone who shared his world for 3 decades felt she was always in the process of discovering new territory. He didn't manufacture mystery. He was genuinely mysterious. He had worlds inside him that required lifetimes to explore. This is the distinction that separates the men who sustain desire from the men who perform it. Manufactured mystery is a game that collapses under scrutiny. Eventually, she figures out the pattern. Eventually, the withholding reveals itself as emptiness, not depth. The man who holds opinions he doesn't broadcast, but genuine interior depth, actual interests that exist independently of the relationship, actual intellectual commitments, actual private architecture that continues whether she's watching or not is inexhaustible. You cannot map what keeps growing. The man who reads deeply and never tells you everything he's processing. The man who holds opinions he doesn't broadcast. The man who experiences grief privately before speaking about it, if he speaks about it at all. The man who has a relationship with his own mind that doesn't require an audience or her approval to continue. That man is permanently interesting because she's never quite certain she has found the final page. And the woman who cannot fully map you will spend years, decades, a lifetime trying to complete the map. This is not cruelty. It is the most profound form of long-term desire maintenance that exists. It is what mating and captivity documents as the fundamental paradox of sustained desire. You can be fully present, deeply connected, genuinely intimate, and still retain the mystery that makes intimacy feel like discovery rather than routine. You can be known, you cannot be fully knowable. The difference between those two things is the difference between a relationship that sustains desire and one that slowly, politely dies in comfort. What you keep private, not out of secrecy, but out of genuine interiority, is not a wall between you and her. It is the thing that keeps her moving towards you forever. So now you see it. Direction, containment, retained unknowability. Not money, not gifts, not grand gestures deployed by men who believe love is a transaction, and attraction is an invoice they can pay if they figure out the right amount. These 3 things, when they are genuinely present in a man, produce something money cannot replicate, not because money is worthless, because money is a signal for the thing. And what she's responding to at every level is the thing itself. She wants to know that your energy has a destination, that you're building something with your life that existed before her and will continue regardless of her. She wants to know that she can break in front of you without bringing the structure down on both of you. And she wants to know every day, even after decades, that she has not yet found the final room. The wealthiest men in the world are sitting in confusion right now, unable to understand why the woman they gave everything to is slowly turning into a stranger. They gave her the proof. They forgot to be the thing the proof was supposed to represent. Here is what should follow you out of this. Every woman you've ever lost, she didn't leave because you didn't give enough. She left because at some point you stopped becoming. You arrived. You settled into the landscape of her life like furniture. You became a constant she could filter out. The way a mind learns to ignore any background signal that never changes. She didn't fall out of love with you. She fell out of aliveness. And the man who finally understands the difference between those 2 things, the man who knows that love and aliveness are not the same currency, will never again mistake one for the other. The question worth sitting with is this. If love was never the full answer, if it was always about direction and structure and depth, what else have you been doing, right? That still isn't enough? That question doesn't have a clean answer, but it has a direction, and the direction is inward. Most men will feel this. Close the app and go right back to giving her everything except the 3 things that actually matter. If you're serious about understanding female psychology at the level most men will never access, the unfiltered material I can't put on this channel, hit the join button below.